Shalom everyone, and we are studying today Parashat Hayei-Sarah. Hayei-Sarah is a week full of magic, and the magic is basically connected to the life of Sarah and Abraham, the two people that really created the foundations of the spiritual growth of a human being. Not that they were the first ones in history. There were people before them, there were people after, but what they created is a message, not just a message, it is the foundations for all of us, as we are going to see today. Basically understanding spiritual growth, you need to start from Abraham and from Sarah. And the name of the parasha is Hayei-Sarah, the lives of Sarah. It's not my mistake. It's the story, the Torah words, the lives in plural of Sarah. Why the lives of Sarah? Basically, the story is that she died. Okay, so why it says the life should be the death of Sarah, and also it should be the life of Sarah, not the lives, plural, of Sarah. And then it continues, Genesis chapter 23, verse 1. Vayu Hayei Sarah 100 shana, and the lives of Sarah were 100 year, single, ve-20 shana, 20 year, single, ve-7 shanim, and 7 years, plural. Shnei Hayei Sarah. And then comes a weird word, Shnei Hayei-Sarah could mean the years of the lives of Sarah, which is a repetition. But the word Shnei means the years of, but it means also two of them. And that sounds much better. The two lives of Sarah. What two lives did she live? So here we have the layout, the foundations of basically the calling of every human being in order to understand and decipher our lives. What am I doing over here? You know, how many people have that question? And what am I doing over here? What's my purpose in life? Why was I born? What's my where should I go, and who should I listen to? And here it is in this parasha. And there's so much magic in this parasha because it speaks about the life of Sarah, and here the lives of Sarah. And in verse 2, Vatamot Sarah beKiryat Arba, and Sarah died in Kiryat Arba, the city of four, the city of four, which is Hebron. That's what it says. Hebron, which is the city of Hebron. Hebron means Hebron, that's the name of a city till today, almost 4,000 years later. But Hebron comes from the word chibur, lechaber, to connect. Beretz Canaan, in the land of Canaan, vayavo Avram lispod lesara velivkota. And Abraham came to lament Sarah and to cry for her. And then vayakam Avram al pnei meto. And here is the story of Abraham looking for a gravesite to bury Sarah. Okay, but in old times Israel, people did not bury like we know. You know, there's a big land that is a cemetery, and you have graves in the cemetery. Israel is a very small country. So the ancient times, till the destruction of the Second Temple, some 2,000 years ago, people had a cave. In the cave, they buried their dead, and every family had its own cave for centuries. So what happened, you know, it's like after a while, the cave is getting too small. No, it's like the cave has all kinds of niches, and you put the dead in the niches, and after a while, usually after a year, you collect all the bones to one collection, and that means Vayasef el Avotav. And he has been collected to his ancestors. Literally, the bones were collected every person's bones were collected to one pile with his ancestors. Okay, and by this you save a lot of real estate instead of dedicating it for so many people's graves. After a while, the country is too small. There's no place for the living because it takes a. So Abram is looking for a burial place, for a cave for him, which means for Sarah, and then for him and the rest of the family. And that cave, the story of that cave, starting according to the legend, last week's reading, Parashat Vayera, which is 38 years earlier, when Abram wants to feed his three guests, the angels, that he does not know it's angels, he goes to the cattle, he wants to take a calf and to slaughter that calf and feed the guests. And the calf runs away, and Abram runs after him. And after that, the calf goes into a cave, and Abram goes into that cave, and there's the whole story about the cave that Abram sees. Inside the cave, there's another cave, and he goes in, and it's all full of light. And he doesn't get it. And then he sees Adam, from Adam and Eve, rising from their grave. And he realizes that this cave is the entrance to the Garden of Eden. What a magical story. But the question is, what is it connected to our everyday life? And here we have few layers of understanding. Abram is burying Sarah in the cave of Machpelah, which is one of the most ancient shrines in history. The place is still having a shrine above it in Hebron, and people are still praying there in that shrine for the last almost 4,000 years. Okay, so but what is a special place? Because Abram and Sarah buried over there, we heard before, Adam and Eve, and then later on Isaac and Rivka, and Jacob and Leah are buried in that place. So we have a special place that has a very unique connection. If we're talking about Jerusalem as the gate of heavens, then there's another gate for the Garden of Eden, which is the cave of Machpelah, which is one of the biggest stars of the major topics of this parasha. And the Zohar is teaching us in this parasha, every person that dies, the soul that leaves that world, our world, goes through a tunnel, and this tunnel goes into the cave of Machpelah, and from there it exits into the world of the souls. So it's a gateway for the souls. So therefore, every person visiting in Hebron, in Me'arat Machpelah, in the cave of Machpelah, in that shrine standing over there, that today's structure is dated 2,000 years ago to the time of King Herod. It looks like the Temple Mount, but smaller, much smaller, but the same design. You see it's the same builder, King Herod. So you realize there's something special about this place, and whoever ever visited over there, it's a very special connection. It's a very special energy vortex all over the world, but this is the place that our souls must go through. So when you want to really get close to the other world, that's the place to go to. So what does it mean for us? Let's say we are not planning to go this week to Hebron. Although a lot of people, it's a big custom in the last few years that tens of thousands of people come to Hebron to celebrate this special Shabbat. So if you want to go, it's a big celebration. Okay, now, what's in it for us? There are a few layers, as I said, and first of all, let's speak about what the Zohar is teaching us about this special topic. Okay, so the first question was, what is this weird description in the first verse about Sarah and about her years? and more than that. The Zohar starts in the Zohar of Hasulam, Rabbi Ashton's commentary, verse 13. והיו חיי שרה, מה ישנה חסרה דכתיב מיתתה באורייתא, מכל נשי דעלמא, דלה כתיב הכי מיתתון באורייתא. אמר רבי חייא, ולאו, והכתיב, ותמת רחל ותיקבר בדרך אפרתה, וכתיב ותמות שם מרים וגומר, וכתיב ותמת דבורה מעינקת רבקה, וכתיב ותמת בת שוע אשת יהודה. Okay, so there's a question. What's the difference with Sarah that her death is being commemorated in the Torah in such a central way? And no other woman has that kind of honor. Amar Rabbi Chiya, so Rabbi Chiya adds, no, but it says, Vatamat Rachel, and Rachel died, and it says and Miriam died, and the Devorah, the nanny of Rivka, and about Batshua, Eshet Yehuda, the wife of Yehuda. So there are a few women that their death is described in the Torah. Amar Rabbi Yossi, Meshiv Rabbi Yossi, and Rabbi Yossi answers, Bechulן לא כתוב כמו שכתוב בשרה, but neither of these women have a rich, careful description, detailed description, like here with Sarah. שנאמר בה, as it says, והיו חיי שרה 100 שנה, the years, the age, all of that. Nobody has his years counted like Sarah. אלא שהוא סוד. This is a secret, says Rabbi Yossi. What's a secret? Because there's a special level, מדרגה, שכל הימים והשנים של אדם בה תלויים. We're not talking about history because we are interested of how many years did Sarah walked on earth. How old was she when she passed away? Okay? That's not the story, that's not the purpose. שכל הימים והשנים של אדם בה תלויים. All the years of a human being dependent on the description of Sarah's lives. And he explains. He goes into many details, but really in which also there's one very important or too few descriptions. Verse 19, for instance, come and see. Ba chava la'olam, which means we're still in explaining what does it mean 100-year, 20-year, 7 years, and why it's called the lives of Sarah. Okay, and here we go. We're starting with the first woman, the mother of all living human beings. Eve. Come and see, verse 19. When Eve came to the world, she attached herself to the snake. He put dirt in her, and she brought death to the whole world. Because death started with the sin of Adam. And who brought the tree of life, the fruit of the tree of knowledge to Adam? His wife, Eve. She brought death to herself and to her husband. Only when Sarah came and down to this world, and she came to the world of chaos, of the dark forces, that's where she came to, and she rose above them, and the dirt did not attach to her. Remember, she grew up in a very big center of idol worshipping and negativity in Ur, which is in the south of Iraq, of today, which was the major center of idol worshipping in the Middle East. Then she went to Egypt, and she went down into Egypt. She was brought into Pharaoh's home, and she rose up from there without any dirt attaching to her. That's what the Zohar is saying. Okay? Even before Noah came to the world and he almost made it, and then he got drunk and fell into the darkness. And therefore, verse 20, משום שאברהם ושרה לא נדבקו בסטרא, because Abraham and Sarah did not attach themselves to the dark side, זכתה שרה לחיים עליונים, לה ולבעלה ולבניה אחריה. Sarah merited divine life. We're coming with a secret. Divine life for her, for her husband, and for her children afterwards. Okay? And therefore, Vayu Hayei-Sarah, and those are the lives of Sarah that she merited. She had the merit to win all of these levels that are called the lives of Sarah. בכל השנים שלא כתוב כן בכל הנשים, because it doesn't say so about any other woman. I don't think even men. Okay? Because she connected to life. But why again lives? And the answer is already here. Every human being comes to this world, and of course, as we are born, we forget almost everything about the past, and usually everything. Sometimes we have some memories from the past, but we come as an empty slate, seems to be, and we grow up in a world of physicality, of evil inclinations of the body, and we live in a society that is totally immersed in the physical needs of the human being. So most people live a life. Is that called a life? No. Why? Because as long as you live a life that what you see is what you get, which means you live in a reality, which means that's your imagination. This is your concept of reality. What you see is what you get, which means we are human beings. We're just animals that evolved from other lower rank animals on the ladder of evolution, and we're here to multiply. We're here to get as much as we can and to survive, and that's what you see is what you get. And if you live like this, the Zohar is teaching you that you will live a cursed life. Why a cursed life? You will never feel completed, accomplished, and fulfilled. Truly fulfilled, a lasting fulfillment. Why? Because we are human beings, and we are a chariot, a composition of a soul and a body. Yes, the body has needs. Yes, the body has a logic. The body needs, for survival, to follow a certain schedule of sleeping certain hours, getting up, eating a certain food, making a living, raising a family. Most people must go through that in order for humanity to continue living. Okay? However, is that enough? And the answer is, it's not enough. And the curse of the tree of knowledge is that we are blind and we cannot see real reality. We cannot see beyond the five senses. However, Sarah brought into the world that ability that we can live a physical life, and at the same time we can live the real life, which is, as it says, Chaim Elyonim, divine life. Yes, we have to make a living. You have to, there's so many functions that are part of our everyday life, part of our goal setting, establishing a family, raising all of that stuff. However, without living a divine life, you will never feel truly accomplished. So, why does it say the lives of Sarah? Sarah established the foundations for the life of a true human being. We are magical creatures. We have a physical body, but inside this physical body, there is a godly soul. As the teachings of Kabbalah are saying, every human soul is chelek Eloka mimal. It's a divine part from above, which means our body is uh, uh, mortal, our body is mundane, our body is physical, but we are a composition of body and soul. So, in order to feel accomplished, you need to train yourself, your heart, your mind, your brain, your thinking, your sight, to see there's also another dimension, the magical dimension of beyond. This dimension is the dimension that if you live there, you have a divine life. This divine life is your double life, the two lives of Sarah. She lived on two different planes. The physical, she was successful in the physical. Look, she supported her husband. She was a prophet of her own. She led women. She led men. She showed an example for all of humanity. And she was successful in raising a family and also training them to live the same kind of life. Okay, she laid the foundations for every human being's success. She did not do it in an easy way. It took her a long life of fight and struggles. It was not comfortable. Like, whoever basically breaks through the box and goes outside the box and really reinventing human life, because till her time, the world lived a life of idol worshipping. What does it mean, idol worshipping? Who were the gods? And we know if we go to ancient paganism, it doesn't matter if it's paganism of the Middle East, like the Babylonian or the Egyptian, if it is a paganism of Europe, like Greek, Rome, or the Nordic gods, all of these gods basically represented very low forces of the evil inclination of every human being. Those gods had no morals, no values, selfish, negative, and without any inhibitions. Okay? And as I say many times, this is a very, very brilliant political invention, all of this paganism, because the kings declare themselves as gods. And you know what? Many, till today, many countries that are still kings, they are being anointed, like they have some godly thing in them. And what does it mean? They are allowed to do things the gods are allowed to do, which means you have no rights in front of them. Only the gods and the kings have the right to take away what you've got, your freedom, your money, your savings, your children, whoever, your wife, your real estate. That's the way it used to be for thousands of years. And when Sarah is breaking that concept and she lives a double life, she shows that every human being has the ability to live in two dimensions. Yes, on one hand, you should be successful in your physical dimension, and therefore in Judaism there are no people who refrain from life. You have to have a family, you have to have a house, you have to have, an income, so you can, because, everything costs money. And if you want to really be a human being that is spiritual, you need to buy books, you need to give charity, so you have to make money, so you have to go into business, you have to be aware of running a household. Okay? It's not, it's not nice to go into a cave and stay away from the world. Why? Because you can't live like this. If you go to the laws of the Torah, you need to live a physical, successful life. However, the challenge is, as you live a successful life and you make money and you establish a family and you raise kids and you buy houses and you have furniture and you have all of that stuff in the mundane level, you need to live at the same time in another dimension of the divine life. How do you do that? Sarah and Abraham laid the foundations for us to do that. Now, how do you start? So the Zohar continues, verse 21. אשר הוא מי שממעט את עצמו בעולם הזה, כמה הוא גדול ועליון בעולם הנצחי. Praiseworthy or happy, it's a better translation. Happy is the person, we're talking about real, true happiness. Everybody's looking for happiness. But why is it so hard to find real, true, happy people? Okay, how do you know people are really happy? So Rabbi Ashlag is teaching us that you cannot give what you don't have. When we are happy, when each one of us, when we feel happiness, how do we treat others? With love, with compassion. We share with them, we'd like to share our happiness with them, which means happy people are kind, nice, sharing, and caring, and also tolerant. When people are not tolerant, we know when we are not tolerant, it's because we are not happy at that time. When we are happy, it's very hard not to tolerate other people, other opinions. So the more you see around you people that cannot tolerate other opinions, other nationalities, other religions, other ways of life, and it's my way or the highway, you know there's something wrong with that lifestyle of that person. He is not comfortable with his life. Otherwise, you should be listening to others. You should have a space for other opinions, for other options. So when we feel intolerant towards others, it doesn't say anything about them. It says that we are not happy, that we are not content, that something is wrong with our way of life, because here it is, I find myself day by day being critical, upset about other people, bothered by other people, incapable of tolerating other people, their opinions, their way of life. I know that something is wrong with me, not with them, with me. With them, maybe yes, maybe not. It's none of my business. My business is to live a double life, a life that is imbued with spiritual light. So for that, I need to be able to train myself to live in the divine upper world at the same time that I'm functioning in the physical world, which means a successful human being should be somebody that his head is up in the heavens, but his legs are standing firm on earth and is practical. Okay, how do you do that? Sarah laid the foundations. So therefore, says the Zohar, happy is the person, which means you want to know how do you get happy. The person that makes himself small in this physical, mundane world, how great he is in the eternal world. Which means if we are focusing all the time, how big is my house, how expensive is my car, what kind of brand am I wearing, how do people look at me, and so on. And this is what occupies my mind most of the time. I am minimizing myself and making myself small. Why? Because the real greatness of a human being is the ability to hold on to values that are bigger, greater than life. So if you minimize your attention to how great do people look at me in the physical world, which means if I'm not investing so much in my physical greatness, okay, but I'm investing most of my efforts in my spiritual greatness, which is my values, my attributes, my behavior, my emotions, my feelings, to be connected to the divine world, then it means that I'm small in this physical world. What does it mean, small? My brain is not that much occupied with my physical appearance and the physical objects of that stuff. Okay? It's not that important to me. But what's important for me is the greatness of the upper world. Okay? You want to be happy? This is the formula. That's one of them. וכן פתח ראש הישיבה. So the head of the academy in the heavens opened. מישהו קטן בעולם הזה, whoever is small in this physical world, הוא גדול בעולם הנצחי. He will be great in the eternal world. Why is that important? Yeah, I don't want to be great, not there, not here. You have to remember, we are destined to greatness because we have a divine soul. However, the greatness is not achieved by mundane achievements, which means, by the way, when a person dies, can you take your real estate with you? No. Can you take your savings with you? Also no. Can you take your clothes with you? No, you can't even take your shoes or even your socks with you. Of course, not to speak about the jewelry. Oh, Pharaoh tried to take the jewelry and furniture and savings and a lot of stuff. And where is Pharaoh now? In the museum. He can't rest in peace. He's on a traveling show. Why? Here lies the person who thought he can take it with him to the other world. He is big in the physical world, but so tiny in the spiritual world. What does it mean? How much honor do we honor Pharaoh that is in a traveling show in a museum? Not so much. While Abraham, that left nothing physical, no big shrines, nothing, but he left a legacy of spiritual greatness, of loving and kindness. This is eternal. Therefore, him and his wife Sarah, they achieved real happiness. That is the story. So the question we have to ask ourselves, how much do we focus on achieving greatness in the physical sensual world, and how much do we focus on the quality of the values of everyday's life? So how do we get it? He says in a simple explanation, it says 100 shana, 100 year. The 100, which is a big number, is a year. The 20, which is a big number, it's a year. 7, which is a smaller number, the singles, years. Which means to show they lived opposite, like as we did. Which means Pharaoh, the pyramids, there was a tip in the upper world, but it was wide in the lower world. That's how a pyramid is built. Abraham and Sarah, they had the opposite. It was this physical world, it was not that much important. The spiritual world, it was wide in the upper world and narrow in the smaller world. However, there's another layer. Continuing with the topic we spoke about last week, Parashat Vayera. And that's verse 23. והיו חיי שרה, אלו החיים הם כולם למעלה. The lives of Sarah, they were all above. 100 שנה, the number 100 is very important. Why? Because it is, says Rabbi Shaul, keter. What does it mean, keter? I'll give you the explanation. Okay, we said last week, when we spoke about Parashat Vayera, we spoke about the need of the human being that we were born with that, the need to get high. Everybody wants to get high. If you don't want to get high, there's something wrong with you. Okay? You're probably dead mentally because you are post-traumatic. We are human beings and we need, it's in our core to get high. Okay? So, and you can't deny it yourself. The problem is that when you try to get high, we see that most people get high, but that lasts for 10, 20 minutes, maybe just few hours, and there's a morning after, which is very sad. Why? Why after every high there's a buy? Because when we connect to high through excitement, any kind of, if it's, actions, food, chemicals, sex, making money, any kind of stress, fear, any challenges, if this is just all around me, my selfish need to get high, there's a catch in that. Why? We're drawing by that the direct light from the creation, from the creator. And the creator, we have to remember, he's endless. His giving is endlessly, and his endless giving can never be changed, especially not by us. How can somebody mortal and finite change the endless? Okay, so God never says no. You want it, take it. Okay, because he's endless. What's the problem? After the Tzimtzum, after the birth of this universe that we live in, which is a universe that is controlled by Tzimtzum. What does it mean, Tzimtzum? We don't live in the endless. Everything here is mortal. Everything is finite. Okay? A chair start here and finish over there. It's a definition. Okay? A tree is a definition. What kind of a tree? Is it a pine tree? Is it a cedar tree? Is it an apple tree? How big it is, how old it is. Every tree has a definition. Every object, everything in our world has a very distinct definition in time and space. Okay? So, when we connect to endless light, that will burn us up. That will destroy us because we live in a finite world. So, what does it mean? So either you connect when you're a kid, when you're in your teens and maybe 20s, you want to get high and you try, and then after you get high and by, you are post-traumatic and you become cynical. Okay? Yeah, people can be happy now. It's like so. Or you're going to all kinds of seminars, or you take mushrooms, or who knows what, in order to heal. And you know what? It's the same old thing. Why? Because it's a very profound concept. The concept is overcoming your instinctive desire to get high, which is a paradox. If you want it all, how much do you want it? You're supposed to want it 10. But if you want it 10, you need to give 10 if you want it 10. Okay? It's in business, in relationships, it's in everything. So you want to feel 10 about yourself, you must create the energy of sharing. It has to be also 10. 10 times 10, you get 100. Okay? That's 100 of Sarah's life. Oh, sometimes you can look at it 10 plus 10. Okay? 10 Sefirot, 10 level of the tree of life, of receiving, but that's called light of wisdom, or the Chokhmah. That's called direct light. It will burn you up. So, you want it to stay, you need to create on your own 10 Sefirot of tree of life, of caring, sharing, and being there for somebody else. So, if you want it 10 and you give 10, 10 by 10 gives you 100. Another way to count it is 10 plus 10, which means 10 you want to receive. However, you overcome your instinct to keep it yourself. He said, no, if I want 10, I want to share 10. I'll go out of my way out of the box, to be there for others, although it's not that comfortable and it's not that easy, but uh, I'm not compromising over that. I have to give 10. That's called being a true professional. When you do that, 10 plus 10, you get 20. Now, here's 100 year, because the 100, the Kabbalists explain, when the 10 of receiving are being connected to the 10 of sharing, they create one vessel full of eternal, lasting light and fulfillment. Nobody can take that away from you. No one. That's a build-up. It's a build-up of contentment and growth, that every time you do that and you behave that way, you grow higher and higher, wider and wider. Your vessel to contain spiritual light and to experience the divine world is getting bigger and bigger and stronger, till you basically move kind of out of the physical world. You live mostly in the spiritual dimension. You live also in the physical one, and there's no contradiction, because your brain is designed for that. We are the only creature on earth that can live in both dimensions at the same time. That's called the magical creatures. We are the only magical creatures. So a person that he thinks, we're just chemicals, we're just another animal, a naked ape, they are non-magical creatures. Hopeless. As long as you think like this, you're non-magical. Why is it people love movies and stories of fantasy, of magic? Why is it that this genre is so famous and so popular? Because people live today our education. Okay, from a childhood till university, it's all deprived of magic. But a human life must contain daily magic. This is what Sarah and Abraham's life were about. It's all about magic. It's all about doing beyond the senses, beyond the logic. How do you do that? First of all, you want to receive 10? It's illogical to say, but if I give, I have less. No, that's a magic. The more you give, the more you care, the more you have. What an amazing thing. So when we care for others, they do us a favor. They don't owe us a thank you. We should thank them for letting us being there for them, and at the same time, we build that magic. People that give this way, without strings attached, because they're simply appreciative that they have an opportunity to give. Because I'm giving in order to connect to the magic kingdom of the upper world. This is the secret of Sarah. That's why it's the lives of Sarah. 100 is 10 by 10. 20 is 10 plus 10. And 7, after you have that, then you can have the 7 Sefirot of this physical world structured properly, which means you can have a life, you can have a home, you can have whatever a human being needs for a complete life. You don't have to be a pauper, you don't have to be sick, but you realize that your physical life is only there to contain the real spiritual life. So it's upside down pyramid. There's a little tip here, and there's a big structure up there. Okay, and that is the secret of the 100, 20, and 7. So, this is one part. After that, we have the story in Parashat Vayera. We have the story of the buying of Marat HaMachpelah. And we learn over there also how to do business. Abram knows for 38 years that he wants this place. He waits patiently so the real estate is not going to be sold with a high value. If Ephron knew that Abraham craves for that real estate, he won't sell it to him. And if he sells it, it will be much more money. So when you show the buyer that he can't live without that thing that you want to buy, of course, the prices are going high. So why there's inflation, why the prices are going so high? Because people can stop themselves. Okay? They simply pay any price just because they have no ability to suppress their eagerness to have it already. But then, Abraham is sending his servant Eliezer to bring a wife for Isaac. He's sending him back to Haran, where the rest of his family were left. Haran, this is like north of Israel, south of Turkish Kurdistan. Okay? And he goes over there. And he is like stressed out. You know, he is also spiritual. He walks in the ways of his master Abraham. And he comes to the well and he prays to God. And he says, how would I know who is the right woman for Isaac? Who is the right woman to continue the path of Sarah? You know, each one of us has this issue. How do I know what house to choose to buy? Which person to choose to be my soulmate? Who is going to be, where should I work? Who should I hire to work for me? Who should I work for? So many choices people must make. And the answer is, if our choice, decision making, is happening in the upper world, we have a better chance to succeed. Why? Looking for a soulmate, looking for a job. It's like there's so many options today. So many options. Like, how would I know what's the right thing? You can go crazy if you think logically about how many options do I have and how would I know to choose the right thing? And what if I'm looking for a soulmate and I went into the pub and she just got out of the pub and went to another pub and I just missed her? How would I know that? Eliezer goes to the well, which is a symbol of well, fountain, of youth, of life. He goes to the well and he prays to God. He says, I have no idea. I have no idea. How would I choose the right woman for my master's son? But I pray. And my sign will be the first lady that will come in, the first girl that will come to bring the water. And I'll ask her for water because I came from a long way. And she'll say on her own, I'll give you water and I'll also give water for your camels. I know that only a person like this can be a member of my master's family. And as he speaks, he finished speaking, and Rivka is coming to the well. And he asks her, give me some water. And she says, of course, and I'll give also to your camels. You know, camels came from a long way. They're very thirsty. And she runs and she draws more water and more water and more water. And it says, the word is amazing. Chapter 24 in Genesis, verse 21. והאיש משתאה לה מחריש לדעת הצליח אדוני דרכו עמלו. And the man is astounded. He's like, whoa, what's going on? It's illogical. Impossible. Look at her. ויהי כאשר כילו הגמלים משתות, and when the camels finished drinking, he's so excited. He takes gold, jewelry, and he puts on her. And then he says, what if she's not from the family of my master? And then that must be the right thing. And he asks her, who's your father? Who's your family? And he realizes that this is the girl he was looking for. She is from the family of Abraham. So logic, you can't find a soulmate with logic. You can't find a job with logic. You can't find anything important with logic. There's so many options. How would you know? It's impossible. Only when you're looking. Where? In the upper world, in the other life, which means where you simply looking over there, and the person and the job, whatever you're looking for, it's there. So when you share and you're looking for sharing, when you're looking for the values, you will find what you need illogically. This is the magic of life. So if you live a life that has no magic in it, it's only what you see is what you get, only logic, very poor life, full of fears, uncertainty, no excitement, no true lasting excitement. Forget it. We'll just finish with another thing. Abram also finishes his life in this parasha. Chapter 25, verse 7. Ve'ele yemei shnei chayav Ram. And these are the days of the two lives of Abraham. He also had a double life, of course, because he was Abraham. Asher chai 100 shana ו70 shana ו5 shanim. Also, 100 year, 70 year, and 5 years. We'll go with that later on. Vayigava vayamat Avram b'seva tova. And Abraham died old age, zaken v'savea, old and satiated. Have you heard about somebody dying satiated, saying, guys, it was amazing. I'm so happy, but it's time to move on. Bye. That's how you learn how to make an exit, to leave this world. Vayasef el amav, and he's being collected to his people, which means into the cave of the family. Okay, so what does the Zohar say about it? And we'll finish with that, which is an amazing teaching. The Zohar says a few things. One, the Zohar speaks about verse 41 in the Sulam commentary. כי כך דרכיו של הקדוש ברוך הוא נותן עושר לאדם, למה נותן לו? הוא לזון את העולם ולעשות מצוותיו, ולא עשה זה, אלא שמתגאה בעושרו בו יוכה, שכתוב עושר שמור לבעליו לרעתו. When a person comes to this world, God gives him some gifts. Some of them, some people are really beautiful. Some are very smart. Some are very rich. Why do we get it? We get it so we can use it in order to extend the power of spirituality. But if we don't, if we use it for our own selfish reasons, that's going to plague us, says the Zohar. Which means if somebody gets richness and is not using the money to share and make the world better, that's called Osher Shamur Lebalav Lerato. It's a richness that it's there for the not for the benefit, the other way around, to hurt the owner of that money. This verse is very famous. Where is the source? That's in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 5. Okay, so if you have any kind of qualities that make you better than somebody else, remember, says the Zohar, why did God give it to you? So by sharing that, you can create the returning light, the light of mercy, the light of loving kindness, the light of Chasadim, that helps you to build the vessel for the real spiritual world. If you remember that every day of your life, you'll be a rich person, which means you'll be enriched with everlasting vessels of light that no one can take away from you. Not this lifetime, not another lifetime. It will stay with you forever. Forever. It doesn't matter how many lifetimes you'll spend on earth. That cannot be taken away from us ever. And here it says more than that. We have to understand, oh, here it is. When it speaks about Abraham leaving this world, verse 119 in the Zohar Sulam. תחזי אברהם מתקרב לגבי ותיובתי דילי הווה כל יומוי בהי. ולא יתקרב אברהם ביומה חדה, או בזמנה חדה, אלא עבדו הקריבו לי בכל יומוי, מדרגה לדרגה עד יסלק בדרגוי. Come and see. Abraham got close to God. All his life, his cravings were to get closer to God every day. But it took him a whole lifetime for that. Not one day, not one time. It was a long process. It was a journey of many, many steps, many days, many hours. His good deeds brought him closer and closer daily from one level up to a higher level and to a higher level, till he reached the level that he is called Avraham Avinu, Abraham our father. What does it mean, a father? Father means he's a prototype. It's a prototype for who we are. He based it. So when he was old and he reached the highest levels, as it should be, then it says Ba Bayamim. It means old, but it means that he reached all the levels in the upper world. Okay? And then he earned the non-stop flow of spirituality from the upper world into this physical world. Most people, that's the way you should walk. You know, in our world, a lot of people, they have no patience. They want it now. And, you know, I tried to be spiritual for a few days, and I didn't reach the level of Abraham, so I'm very upset about it. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? It's like it took Abraham all his life. He laid the foundations for us. But does that mean that we can get it in an instant? No. Easy comes, easy goes. You want to reach what Abraham reached, you have to do what Abraham did. You have to follow by his footsteps. That's why he's our father, Avraham Avinu. However, says the Zohar, oh, there are people who can get it in an instant also. Why? The moment Abraham laid the foundations, sometimes we can access in an instant. We can access the gate and pass through and earn a whole universe. How does that happen? And he says, verse 122, למדנו במקום שבעלי תשובה עומדים בו באותו מקום, באותו עולם, אלה צדיקים גמורים פשוט לעמוד בו, משום שהם קרובים אל המלך יותר מכולם. There are some people, many people in history, that yes, they lived a terrible life, full of illusions. They lived in the illusion of might, physical richness, political power, fake joy and fake excitement, but they realized one day that it is wrong. Everything they did was wrong. That they just suffered, and it was all fake. And who did they fool? Themselves only. And when these people reached spirituality out of all the pain of failure, by denying everything they did and realizing, what have I done? What kind of a mistake? And because of that pain and suffering and hunger, because they were hungry because they didn't really connect to spirituality. And but the moment they realized the power of the spiritual universe, and they became Balei Tshuva. Balei Tshuva means the ones who came back from far away. So sometimes a human being can realize that everything he did was by mistake, that he was not spiritual, that he was selfish, and that brought him to nothing. And when a person realizes that and he develops real, true cravings to the real spiritual world, he can join the spiritual world in such a no time if he just gives his body and soul with devotion to connect to the upper world. That's called Teshuvah. Teshuvah. That the last Hey of the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, which means the letter Hey that symbolizes this reality, went back in an instant so many levels. So those people, out of such a craving and hunger, when we do that and we return to the light, we can skip so many levels so we can become higher than people that were righteous from birth and they step by step made it. So there's so many ways to reach the double life of Sarah and Abraham. And it's all waiting for us to be fulfilled and be achieved. Thank you and good luck in the journey. Welcome to the magical world.